Oh, you left my heart wide open. You threw it on the ground. Oh no, but where it is now, it's waiting to be found. But then last night I tried to call you. It rang once, then straight to voicemail. And my heart, it can't take this hurting. In the meantime, I'll be searching. I'm gonna keep on searching. I'll be waiting. Maybe I'll hear you say yeah. Oh yeah, I'll be waiting. I'm waiting for. I've always been so optimistic. See, I'd push through thin and thick. We used to risk it all.
Hello, and thank you for joining us at our Wingush International Film Festival 2020. I'm very excited to be doing our second Q&A with the award-winning and prolific filmmaker, Dr. Shirley Cheechoo. I want to remind you that you can buy tickets to watch Bear Walker and other films. There's 30 films we have in our program. You go to wingushfilmfestival.ca, WEENGUSCHK, filmfestival.ca, and make sure to check out all the program we have. We have a wonderful program for our festival this year. I'd like to take this time to thank our government funders, Canadian Heritage Telefilm Canada, and also Brock University. We'd like to thank the Indigenous Screen Office, the amazing Linda McCain, Rankin Construction, Charles Street Video, APTN, Peely Island Winery, and Pear Tree Canada for their support, and always a massive special thanks to our WFI, our WIF Board of Directors for all the work they've done and that they do to put this festival together. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Shirley Cheechoo, writer and director and producer of the amazing film Bear Walker. Hi, Shirley.
Hi.
It's been a long time. How long since you made Bear Walker?
Well, I would say at least 20 years.
And when you look back on the film now, how do you feel about the themes, the sisters, about family love, and about adding the spiritual element to the film?
Well, you know, when you do films, you always, when you look back, there's always things that you say, I should have done this, I should have done that. But at the time when we were making Bear Walker, there was we had a lot of funding problems. So, you have to then compromise your work, which was, I wasn't very pleased about when I was told what my budget would be. And so I had to go back into the script and take out a lot of the things that I've written about bear walking. So the film only just, touched the tip of what that bear walking is. Yeah. And man, in my culture, when you are dealing with that kind of spirituality, you need to go all the way with it or don't go at all, because everybody that's watching the film or people that are reading the script or actors even, they go into a place of caution. and so they're not fully in with the project. And it was my, as a director, trying to get them there. I had to tell them stories about what bear walking was. It was like I was teaching about the subject matter more than anything else. I went to Sundance Film Institute with this particular project, and I felt like I was supposed to be mentored by 10 writers who are, I mean, really like big writers, from Hollywood. And all I did during that time that I was there was educate people about what bear walking was. And I felt that my script really didn't quite get developed because of that, because of me having to teach my culture to people that are supposed to be teaching me how to move forward with my work. And so when we finally got somebody interested in financing the project, I was quite disappointed because I could not go to where I wanted to go with the story. And in my culture, if you're going to tell a story that you received from your elders, from your community, you need to tell that full story to others. And I felt that I didn't have that opportunity to do that.
How did you come up with the story idea for the script? The sisters, the relationship with the police, and then the bear walkers. How did you start writing, and why? Why did you write that script?
Well, I didn't have a very um, I didn't have a great journey as a teenager. I came from the residential school syndrome, and I went through self-destruction. I went to drugs and alcohol, and I spent a lot of time with the students that were in school with me. And so, I mean, we started like telling stories to each other all the time. We would get together and tell stories, and then when I was writing the script, I just took all these stories that I heard and tried to um, just bring them all into a one story. So the four sisters are actually real people in my life. I know exactly who those women are, and their stories, got put into the story. And I also have three sisters myself, and so I used my sisters as well to mingle all these stories together to come up with a story about bear walking.
There's a question that has just come in from Tanya Horek, and she says, "Thank you. I've just watched Bear Walker, and I think it's amazing. And its representation of racism and the police is so relevant to this present moment. Can you please say something? Can you please say something about the depiction of the police in Bear Walker, and also how you feel across your body of work and the significance to where we are now?"
The police in the bear walking is a true story. It's about me and how I was raped by the police. And I know from way back, even as a child, I saw how the police treated people in my community. I saw them drag my father out of the house, and drag him into the wagon, all because somebody said that he pushed over an outhouse of all things. It was just an outhouse. And I saw them drag my father away. And from then on, there was many, many things that my eyes saw what the police did. And it continues on. Even to this day, we still have the police treating people like this. Not, I mean, you see it all the time in the news, you know, in Facebook especially, you see these stories. What we can do as Native people, but with these police officers, is that we need to take control of our own laws. We are governed by two laws, our provincial and federal law. If we took over our own laws in this in our system, I think it would be better for all people. I'm getting emotional about this because I see this happen to a lot of people, and it really hurts me, and it hurts my community of how people are treated. So when we see things like the way the Black people are treated, you know, we are so close together, the Black people and the Native people. You know, our cultures are the same, you know, our stories are the same. So when we say Black Lives Matter, we're right behind them. You know, we want to be there with them. So racism does exist. It exists here in my own community. On the island, it exists everywhere. No matter where you go, it's there. And how I deal with racism myself when I go anywhere is I just say to myself, be careful what you say. It will come back to haunt you. And so I go home and I put down my tobacco and I pray that this will not happen again. But it happens over and over and over again. It doesn't stop. I've lost my internet, I think.
You're back.
It's back?
Yeah, it just cut out for a brief moment. The other interesting and really powerful relationship that ties into the calling of the bear walker, which you taught us all, is the relationship between the husband and the wife, and how the sisters band around her. But she's in a very difficult relationship, and something happens, for those of you who haven't seen the film, but for those of you that have. How difficult was it for you to write those scenes?
Well, first of all, you have to ask permission to write anything about bear walking. You have to go see the elders and ask permission about, you know, what you can share and what you cannot share. It's difficult to write about bear walking because you're not sure of what could happen. And somewhere along the way, maybe I had lost sight of it, and I got bear walked myself. And being bear walked is really something that could actually really kill you, you know, and without the help of, you know, your elders and your medicine people, you know, there's no way you can get out of it unless you have this help behind you. So it was very difficult for me to write those scenes because I was unsure whether it was going to repeat itself. So I always had to be always had to have medicine with me. And my mother made me a medicine pouch with tobacco in it, and it was prayed on, and that's what I wore throughout the when we were shooting Bear Walker. And we did our smudges, with the crew and everything. People need to understand what we were dealing with, and I mean the whole shoot went smooth. I think it went smoothly, anyways. Except for that first day when my producers were cooking breakfast for everybody because our cook didn't show up.
I remember that. Um, one of the the film is a spectacular film. Can you talk a little bit about how you work with your cinematographer, your director of photography, how you create sort of the visual language, or how you want it shot? How did you work together with Jonathan Barker on that?
Well, to be honest, it was a very difficult journey with the cinematography of the film because he was not available to me. He didn't make himself available until maybe 4 days before the shoot. So it was a difficult time. So we were actually, doing a lot of the rehearsal of the cinematography during the shoot. And sometimes they did not understand exactly what I wanted to do with it. So, I mean, now, like, I've learned my lesson from it, and make sure that my cinematography is there for me now. Because if they're not there for me, I'm easy to let them go. But this was my first project, so you were always walking on eggshells because you didn't know if you said something that the whole crew would fall apart, or the actors would fall apart. So it was a shoot where it was very difficult for me, but now I would never let that happen again.
Um, how important was casting for you? You have some really fabulous actors. What was the casting process like for you, and how did you choose those particular actors to play those really significant roles?
Well, like I said at the beginning, that the story around these sisters were based on real true stories. So when you already have the characters in your mind, you want to be authentic to those sisters as well. And that was the process that I used to cast the four sisters. So we went, like, I don't know, Vancouver, across to the States, whatever, trying to find these four sisters. And and it and we ended up like trying to cast like Tammy and Ruby at one time, and because the funders, oh God, I can't even remember the funders' names are, but they were from New York, and offline,
Offline,
offline
offline
entertainment.
entertainment.
Yes, so I said, like, I asked my sister Greta if she would audition for Tammy, and she said sure. So I auditioned her, but I was also playing Ruby on the other side of the camera. And because offline said that they would not finance the film if I were to act and direct the film. And so, as I was auditioning Greta, we sent it off to New York, and then you phoned me and said, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess I could sit down." And you told me that offline said that whoever's reading with Tommy is your Ruby, and it was me. And so that's how I got to be in the film. But we read so many people for Ruby too, and it just didn't work out somehow. I guess it was meant to be that I would play Ruby.
I mean, the film has played, all over the world, and especially with indigenous audiences, this has such impact. Why do you think the film means so much and has such a big influence with your community?
I think because a lot of people can relate to it. They can relate to the sisters, they can relate to the story, they could relate to the cops, they could relate to almost everything that's happening in the film. There are people who have been bear walked who came up to me and said, I was bear walked, and told me their story and said it was so close to what I was doing in the film. But with the lawyer being it, they asked me, why is there a lawyer in it? I have a mentor that passed away, Tom Pelche. He wrote a book called Bear Walker, and he had a lawyer in his book. I asked him if I could use a lawyer in my film, and he said, "Why?" He said, "Why don't you just make my film, like out of out of his book?" And I said, "But I already wrote this story, right?" And he said, "Well, you can use the lawyer," and that's how the lawyer came to be in the script. But I know that my community have, you know, have embraced the film in many ways because of that they relate to it so well. A lot of people said, yeah, that's how Indians speak, that's how it is on the res, so they were able to relate to it. And with the Cree, I'm telling you, up in Quebec, James Bay, they were just, everybody was watching it up there. They're still watching it. And I still get these requests, where can I buy Bear Walker? Where can I see it? Because of the Cree that's in it.
The film, it's really a beautiful and a fabulous first film, but it was also a bigger project because it was shot in the community, which you demanded, and but you also connected youth. Can you talk a little bit about that process and what the film and the team provided to the community and the youth, and how the film became a bigger event in the community?
I, as a youth myself, growing up, I always had to leave home to find the resources to be able to teach myself on what I wanted to be as an artist. I just wanted to be an artist. And as I was growing up, there were never ever resources in my community to help me. And I said, that's why I said I want to shoot Bear Walker on the reserve. And I think there was 27 youth that worked on the film. And when the film was complete, the youth kept coming back to me. When are you doing your next film? When it takes a long time, especially as an Aboriginal filmmaker. It takes a long time to make a film. And I kept saying to them, I don't know when I'll be making my next film because I have to get financing, I have to do all this stuff. And then I said to myself, why don't I just bring the resources to these kids? Why don't I just, bring it here? So I went to Sundance, I went to, the film center in Toronto, a woman in the director's chair, and then I thought I could put all this together and put together a training center for all these youth that want to make films and get their voices and their stories out there. They're hearing stories, they know they cannot keep them, they have to pass them on. And today, everything is about the media. Look at us right now, it's all about media. And this is the really best place for these students and these young people to put their voices out there, put it out on film. And a lot of them are pretty shy, and so when they're shy like that, at least the film, the media speaks for them.
Mhm.
So that is why I create all this stuff for young people. And I know there's no films in this film festival from the youth here, and it's because they couldn't get their films made this year because of COVID.
Yeah. Tanya Horak sent another comment for you to respond to. Were there any films that influenced you in making Bear Walker? And she says, I was interested in the extent to which you saw the film as a rewriting of the rape revenge tradition. The film really stands out of its intersectional understanding of gender, race, class, and sexual violence. So were there any films that influenced you, and how did you come to articulate sort of the rape revenge theme?
Um, I wouldn't say that there was films that influenced me. I mean, I read a lot of Sam Shepard stuff. I love Sam Shepard stuff. And he was my influence in writing a lot of my work. And because what he was writing is so like what is happening in my community. And that was where my influence came from. So it actually didn't come from any films at all. I just concentrated more on what people were saying and how people are saying things on the reserve. I'm always observing people, finding characters in my own community, to use, because I'm telling you, any reserve has many characters that young people can use, and I try to teach them here that your characters are right there living in front of you. Because some of my students want to write, Star Wars, they want to write all this other stuff, and I tell them, go back to your community. Your community has the stories that you can actually portray and get it out to the audience, and your voice will also inspire other young people to do the same.
Tanya also talks about the sort of rewriting of, we have seen in film sort of rape and revenge. But she says that Bear Walker stands out as a sort of a unique approach to looking at race and class and sexual violence. And one of the questions I had is just sort of the almost obsession that the cop. Oh, and she's just added one more thing here. Oh no, it's somebody else. I'll ask in a second. Anyway, just the cop was kind of had this obsession with her, and her husband was so abusive, and then she called the Bear Walker. So how did you play? Were they all sort of representative of different people, or was it sort of representative of one theme of violence and the response to that violence?
The violence again in the film is sort of when you get into the space of the Bear Walker. Violence is thing that they actually can put into you as you're being bear walked. And this family in particular, when one person is bear walked in a family, everybody's affected by it. And so everything comes with it, and everything that is really evil comes with the bear walker. And so I know that there was a lot of things that I had to take out of the film, which is even more violent of the bear walker that we did not see in this film. And so, and the only way sometimes you have to fight the bear walker is to embrace it somehow, and which is what the lawyer does. She embraces it to try to save her family. So she wants to fight the bear walker, but the old medicine man stops her because that is not the way to do it. And so the violence just increases from the moment we see Elali, and as she moves through, you see all the violence that she has to encounter, where eventually it kills her. And it kills her because her sister did not go in the right direction of what you're supposed to do when you're being bear walked. She went and embraced it.
We have 1 minute remaining, and there is another question. And what I'm going to do is I will text you. Well, I'll have them text you the last question that we're not going to have a chance to get to. But it's a timeless film. It's a extremely important film. What's your next project?
I've written a feature film called Black Ice, and it's about 4 brothers who are hockey players, and one of the youngest boy falls through the ice, and the other 4, the other 3 brothers, their whole lives changed because of this, and so they have to come to a resolution at the end to I don't know, it just, I don't really want to say what it is because I don't want to give it all away right now. And then I'm also working with Shaftesbury Pictures with one of the TV series that 3 of the boys that came to Wingash Film Institute created. And so they picked it up as a TV series. So I'll be working with Shaftesbury on that.
Well, Shirley, it's always a pleasure. You're a leader and an icon and a powerful force in not only your community, but a community at large. And it was a real honor speaking with you today. And I think I'm going to be speaking to you again about Silent Tears in the near future. So have a wonderful rest of Fest. And thanks so much for creating this festival as the founder of the Wingishk International Film Festival.
Well, I'd like to say thank you to everybody else too. Like without Adam and Johnny and Yano and Gloria and and you and all these people, this would never be where it is today. And I thank everybody for helping us and all the support that people have given us. Miigwech to everybody.
Miigwech, Cheryl.
But then last night I tried to call you. It rang once, then straight to voicemail. And my heart, it can't take this hurting. In the meantime, I'll be searching. I'm gonna keep on searching. I'll be waiting. Maybe I'll hear you say